good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this webinar, which is Dynamics 365 Business Central end of financial year processing for 2021. It seems incredible. It was only 12 months ago that we were standing here having this same conversation, but time goes very fast, and it's been an extremely busy year. Before we get started, there's a couple of things just to put out there. Okay, so speakers for today. Our host is myself, Keith Asher, Client Success Manager, and with over 40 years of experience in the IT market. 17 of those have been in the Microsoft Dynamics space, predominantly around ERP products here in Australia. And one of the things I bring to our clients is the fact of the depth and breadth of knowledge around the ERP product sets. I'm joined this afternoon by Sammy Pincus. He is our Senior Business Central Consultant. Sammy has been working with Microsoft Dynamics product set for many, many years. He was one of the first people to start introducing what was then Microsoft Navision, and then it was lately called Dynamics 365 Business Central. He was, and he still is, one of the most privileged people here in Australia to be a Microsoft lead certified trainer, and has been called on many times by Microsoft to actually do their own internal training. So this afternoon, we put together this Microsoft Dynamics by the numbers, just to show really that although Business Central is relatively new to the marketplace, it's actually been around 31 years in the making. So the strength of the whole Dynamics nav product set has formed the basis for Business Central going forward. And you see there that there are approximately greater than 3.5 million users of nav stroke Business Central in the market. And from Microsoft perspective, Business Central is one of the fastest growing ERP solutions that they've ever had in the market. So there's a lot of experience, a lot of stability in the product set. And what we have now is the fact that Microsoft has taken it from being a on-premise solution to a cloud-based solution, which is what we're talking about today. And it has enhanced that product set to make it more user-friendly than it ever has been in its life. So you're approaching the end of the financial year. For some of you, this might be the first time you've closed a financial period or financial end of year. Some of you who were on this webinar 12 months ago most probably remember some of the things, but it's always handy to have a refresher about what the process is. So you might be thinking there, is there a short overview to the process available? Do I need to adjust my financial statements for the new year? How do I update my financial budget for the new year? What if I've closed this year and then find out that I need, after audit, I need to make some adjustments after the year is closed? And the last one is it possible to close the financial period more than once? So with that, what I'd like to do is hand over to Sammy now. He's going to take us through the process of closing year end for Business Central. So Sammy, please, can you take it over from here?
Okay, thanks so much, Keith. And hello, everybody. So we're going to cover end of financial year processing. It doesn't take a lot. It's pretty straightforward, all right? 4 easy steps, and they are very straightforward, all right? So we'll summarize them here. Let's go. We're going to go into accounting periods, and we're going to create a year, because before you close something, you really should have the next one ready to rock and roll. So we want to make sure we'll create a year, and I'll go through this with you, of course, right? And while we're in accounting periods, we then want to close the year. Now, this is a strange word. It's not the big close. All it's doing is closing it from a period point of view. We'll see that. I'll talk about that. I'll tell you what the difference is between this and the big one, and we'll cover that off pretty straightforward. After that, rock and roll. Time to close the income statement. This is the big one. This is the one that'll actually move the numbers from the P&L, from the income statement, and put it into the retained earnings. That's the one that we will, interestingly, we'll talk about the most, but actually takes the least amount of time. So the whole process is very straightforward, and the whole process can be pretty much all over, finished, and still have time to finish your glass of red, or as Paul Keating once said, still have time to finish your sushi. Okay, so maybe not the red wine. All right, we'll come back. We'll do it in 3 easy steps. That's the reality. And yes, I'll be doing much more talking than needs to be done. It'll still be finished in time. All right. So it's very, very easy process. So don't worry, guys. We will be sending you a cheat sheet. We are sending out, and it's also in the chat as well, I believe, if you look at the webinar chat. But yes, there is a PDF cheat sheet, so you can sit back, relax, and enjoy the flight and hear me talk. And there's the recording, as we said. So let's get on with it. I'll just get on to my Business Central right here. Okay, this is Business Central. This is what we're going to close. The first thing we're going to go into is the accounting periods. So let's go into accounting periods for a moment. I want to talk about this. Have a look at what I've got here. I've got an accounting period that started back all the way back in 2018. And in those days, my company was operating on a January fiscal year, and that changed in 2019, where I then changed to a July fiscal year. I just wanted to point that out to you because sometimes it's nice to know that we can do those sorts of things when you need to, all right? You can actually change the fiscal year if you need to, all right? But we can see a couple of things there that's the new fiscal year. That was the new fiscal year over here. And you notice the dates are locked on these closed periods, all right? Because what we might do is, let's say even on a new year or the current year, the one that's not closed, maybe what I would like to do, maybe the way I structure my accounting periods, if I edit that list and say, look, my November accounting period is going to start on the 2nd of November. I'll say yes. I'll do that. A lot of people might do that, or they might start their October period, let's say on the 30th of September 2020. I'll rename the record. I'll even put in October there, so it looks like the October period. All right, so this is not unusual. This structure is not unusual if, let's say, you're operating retail or you're operating on a 445 calendar. You might structure your business that way. But the point I want to say is, for the accounting periods, you can change the dates. I'll just change them back while I'm here. I've just changed it wrong. I knew I would do that. September starts there. October starts on the 1st of October 20. And November will start on the 1st of November 20. All right, so we can change the dates. That's the first thing I wanted to mention to you. All right, well, let's get on with it, because what we want to do is, first thing we have to do is create a fiscal year. So all we need to do is go in here. We're in edit, put in new, go 1st of the 8th, 21. That's going to be my next month. It'll be August. I'm moving down. And 1st of the 9th, 21, moving down. And 1st of the... Guys, life's too short. We don't have to do it this way. There is a faster way. There is a faster way. All right, I'm just going to delete these two guys. All right, we'll delete the ones after the new fiscal years, the ones I've just created. All right, we'll delete these two guys. A much faster way to do it is to go to Process, Create Year. And what this will do, will say, it'll find the last date. There it is, 1/7/21. It'll find the last date, and it'll just create 12 one-month periods. So it's up to you. You can create the dates and then change them. If you're doing a 4-4-5 model, 4-week, 4-week, 5-week, 12 1 month is the easiest one of all. I'm just going to hit OK, and it will create my months ready for the next fiscal year. And guys, it's not wrong. If you want to create 1 or 2 or even 3 years in advance, that's fine. It's not a problem. If you want to create another year and create 22, 23 year, that's fine. That's not a problem. The next step we want to do is to say, close the year. So what's this going to do? Have a look here. It's only going to do 2 things. This is not the income statement one. This is not the big P&L one. What this will do is simply flag the period as closed and lock the dates so that I can't change it. Because if I try and change the date of one of these locked guys, like I was changing the dates before, and say that's going to start on the 2nd of May, I'll rename the record. The system electrocutes me, says you can't do this. All right, you can't. Oh, listen, while I've got the error message up there, guys, heads up, if you're putting in a support ticket with us, or you ring up your consultant and saying I've got an error, that's not quite enough. All it's telling us is that there is an error. Rest your mouse on the X so that the error actually appears, and then you can send us the picture. But that's also telling you what the error message is. All right, so it's date locked must be no, and that's why I've got the error. So hint for you guys, do that. I'm going to refresh the page. All right, so it's come back to the 1st of May. And the other thing you also want to be aware of, and it's a really nice sort of tip, if you post a transaction, let's say on the 6th of May, 2020, because the date is flagged as closed, because the period is flagged as closed, all the GL entries are flagged with prior year entry. There's actually a field on GL entry called prior year entry. You may not be aware of it, and it's a great way to filter and identify postings that were made in a period that was flagged as closed. All right, we've done the accounting periods create, and we've done the accounting periods close year. We're all happy campers, and this is ready to roll. I didn't actually execute the close year. I'll do it right now. Close the year. There it goes. This function will close the year from there to there. Once the year is closed, it can't be opened again, all right? That's a point of no return. You can still post. Don't worry, guys, you can still post, but you can't open it again. So I'm going to close the fiscal year. And now that period is closed. I can still post. I can still do a posting in April 21. I can still do a posting in March 21. So let's go to the chart of accounts now, because I want to move some numbers and I want us to see what numbers we're going to move. So my favorite, those that have worked with me know that my favorite account in the world is the electricity expense account. So I'm just going to filter on areas where I can see my electricity expense account. Did you know you can put a filter up here in the search? Some of you know, some of you don't know. All right, so there's a couple of my just easy operating expenses. I'm going to drill down on the 42 grand because that's the figures in the system right now. And I want us to look at and know that I've got figures in there from August and figures in there from July, moving backwards because this is in reverse posting date order, and figures in June and figures in May. So we've got lots and lots of figures in there. So I've got something I can close. All right. But what we do know is that when we execute the close, of course, I don't want to close anything after the 30th of June. So it's going to close up to and including the 30th of June. And those figures, the sum of all these numbers, are going to post. They're going to come out of electricity expense account and go into my retained earnings account. Actually, so you see what that account is. It's up here in the, typically in the liabilities or retained earnings area, the equity area. There's my retained earnings in there with a figure from the other year, last year, all right? So that's what we're gonna do. All the figures from that 8,000 series, because I've just got some Mickey Mouse transactions in there, and they're gonna go and end up in the retained earnings account. That's what we're gonna be doing, and that's the core of it. All right, guys. I want to spend just a few minutes here talking about what the data will look like, because I want you to know what it looks like before it happens so that you know what to expect. Many of you know that Business Central maintains a running balance for each GL account. So there's my electricity expenses. On 12th of April, I did $12, and 20th of April, I did $6, and so on. Lots of transactions, and I've got a dimension in there. I've got a department dimension, sales department, marketing department, and so on. All right. Most of you are aware that there's actually a balance at any particular date, and the system maintains this. You don't have to worry about it, right? You know you've posted $12, it keeps a running balance of 12. And after you post the $6, it'll keep that balance moving. And after you post the $27, it'll keep that balance moving. All the way through, it'll maintain that running balance. You're not aware, even the minus ones, all the way through. And the Business Central does this so that we can ask these sorts of questions, right? What's the balance as at the end of April? Well, as at the end of April, it's $18. And the balance as at the end of May is $49. And the balance as at the end of July is $169. So guys, that's a bit of background. You're now aware of this. And we know what's meant to happen as at the end of June. The balance as at the end of June is meant to be transferred to the P&L. So what we do is we're going to stick a new transaction in on 30th of June. We're going to take that $87, because that's the balance of the account. And this is basic accounting for most of you, all right? I'm just pointing out the obvious. We take the $87, thank you very much. And our running balance now goes to zero. The closing entry is in. But don't forget, we've got the running balance on 1st of July and the running balance till the end of July. So happy times, guys. End of May, balance is $49. The end of July, balance $72. Laughing. Bum bum. Balance at the end of June is wrong. Because really what we want is at the end of June, we want to say the end of June is $87. But the way that's looking right now, the end of June is $0. All right. I want the $87, yes, to be in my P&L, but I want end of June to remain $87. I don't want it to affect my balance. All right. Ready for the magic. We're going to put the $87 in. Business Central inserts a fake virtual day. A fake virtual day between the 30th of June and the 1st of July. It's indicated by a C in front of the date. Now I put the C in red because I'm a dramatic guy. Those that have worked with me know that sometimes I'm dramatic. All right, so there's a whole fake virtual day in there, or I've put in red. So now my balance as at 30 June is $87. Hooray, hooray. And I'm going to use a particular set of words. My balance as at the closing June is $0. Balance as at the end of June is 87. Balance as at closing June is $0. All right. But the balances by department are actually wrong. Think about this. If I focus on marketing department for a minute, let's just focusing on the marketing department. What I'm going to do, my next slide, I'm just moving all the numbers to the side. You're going to see all the numbers move to the side, and I'm just going to focus on marketing. All right, here we go. I'm just going to focus on the marketing numbers. All right, let's play our game again. The marketing balance as at 31 May is $4. Start again. Is $4. The marketing balance as at 30 June, $13. The marketing balance as at the 31st of July is 60. What? Nah, it's wrong. Really, the marketing balance in July should be $53. What we need to do is close this by department. All right. So I'm just going to remove the last 3 lines just so we can focus, all right, and give me more room on the screen. I'm just removing the last 3 lines, all right? Just get rid of that. We really have to close the income statement for each dimension combination. Now here I've only got one department, all right? So just so you can see, nice and easy. I'm going to close it for sales, I'm going to close it for marketing, and I'm going to close it for ops. That's how it should close. We're now going to go and do this inside Business Central. All right, we're going to do this inside Business Central. Before I do, I want to give us 2 bits of background information. 2 bits of background. Again, most of you know this, but I want it to focus our attention just a little bit. All right, I want to go to a general journal. 2 bits of background first. All right, I want to go to a general journal. Okay, and I've got batches of general journals in my system. I'm having a slow system day today. All right, that's not coming up. I'm waiting for my Alex batch to come up. I might start my other version just to make sure. I had a backup version. How good is that? Okay, let's go finance, general journals. Yeah, I've got my thing not happening at the moment. So guys, while that's refreshing, I'll let that refresh. While that's refreshing, the thing I want to point out is many of you know that on any given journal, you can have a balance on every line. You can have a line of an expense and say, where did the expense come from? You can have a line balance on every line, or you can have the journal go balance right down the very, very bottom. Okay, there's my general journals. Let's have a look at Alex. So I could take that journal and balance it and say that expense that I had some cleaning done came out of my main bank. And notice my journal will change value. And that one will come out of my bank also, the main bank. All right, now my journal balances. Alternatively, and you know this, I could just take one line to balance the journal there and say it comes out of my main bank minus 108, minus 108.20. All right, come out, and now my journal balances. So background point number 1, you can balance it line by line, or you can balance it over the whole journal. That's background info number 1. Background info number 2, you should all know this. You've got to be aware of it before you close your fiscal year. All right, Business Central, right there. Yeah, leave the site, I don't mind. All right. Guys, you have to be aware. You've got to be able to go to an area of the system called General Ledger Setup. Go to your area called General Ledger Setup, Gen Ledger Setup. Right here, I want you to look at this area called Additional Reporting Currency. Really, really, really important. We're going to see later on why it's important. You have to know whether it's populated or not populated. That's the only bit of message you need to know right now at this stage, whether it's populated or not populated. Additional reporting currency inside General Ledger Setup. Okay, right. Enough talk. Let's get on with it. The real heart of the matter is close the income statement. That's where we're going to do our work. That's going to move the money from here to there. We're going to talk about each and every field for a few minutes and we'll get there. The fiscal year, it's picked up from accounting periods. From accounting periods. All right? Don't change it. Just leave it as is. It's taking the current accounting period, saying fiscal year end, laughing. It's going to build a journal. That's all it's going to do. You still be able to look at the journal, laugh at it, be scared by it. If you want to change it, I don't know why you would, but okay. And you can certainly delete the lines and start again. But it's going to build a journal. So what sort of journal is it going to build? Well, it's certainly not or shouldn't build an assets journal or a cash receipt journal. It shouldn't build a purchase journal. It should be building a general journal. Hello, that's, in my opinion, it's very obvious. What I like to do when I tell my clients to do it is set up a separate batch just for your end of year stuff. So set yourself up with a batch. I mean, we all know we set up batches for people. We might set up a batch. Many of you have set up the opening journal batches. So you can buy some orange juice, opening journals, an end of financial year. So I like to set up an EO end of year batch, and I don't use any numbering series on it, with no number series, because I like to give it my own number. Down here, we'll do it. So give it a batch, give it a number, end of financial year 2021. That's fine. Which is the retained earnings account? Where is the debits and credits all going to sum into? It's all going to go, as I showed you before, the retained earnings account. I typed it in. I knew it was 3120. Of course, you can use your drill down. I'm going to come back to this in a moment, the post to retained earnings. I'm just going to come back to it. Give it a nice description, close the income statement. Maybe I'll write June 2021 for my webinar. That's just a description. We all know what that does. Okay, so talking about what we did before with my PowerPoint and the electricity expense, I want to close by dimension. So I recommend to you that you should. It becomes ultimately your decision. You might want to close by business unit. So those of you who have a head office and are closing the head office, you know that the business units are your sub companies. You might want to close by business unit as well. That's your decision. And it's not right, it's not wrong. Just as I showed you on my PowerPoint slide, the mathematics is correct. It's how you want the closing to take place. But I'm certainly going to close by dimensions. Here I go. Click on that. My thoughts are, again, it's your decision. My thoughts are, if you're going to close by dimension, which I think you should, then you should close all dimensions, because it doesn't seem to make sense to do some and not the others, but it's up to you. I like to close by all dimensions. That's what I recommend to my clients. Close by all of them. Now, I said I'd come back to this. So what's this going to do? It's going to build a journal, and it's going to put one big number right down the bottom, 3120. And that one big number will not have any dimensions on it. So the retained earnings will simply be one big fat number. That's balance. Alternatively, and this is why I showed you that journal a few minutes ago, alternatively, you might want to say every line balance to 3120, debit, credit, debit, credit, debit, credit, debit, credit. And that means every line that has a dimension, 3120 will have the dimension. The question you've got to ask yourself is, do you want your retained earnings to have dimensions? Then do it this way. And if you don't want 3120 to have dimensions, do it that way. There you are. For those of you who are taking notes, at this time, what is it? My screen says 1 o'clock. That's the little message there. Enough doing. Let's go and hit OK. It's going to build a journal only. No. Warning, danger, Will Robinson, computer alert. Guys, if you have additional reporting currency populated, remember I went to General Ledger Setup, we had a look. If you have additional reporting currency populated, which I don't, the batch job will do the journal and will post the journal. It will not pass go. It will not collect $200. Nothing. You will not be able to see it. It'll go straight into retained earnings. Okay? So be very aware of it. It's not a bad thing. It's a good thing. It's just so that we don't have currency issues coming into play. All right? But it does give you a warning. So watch yourself on that one if you have additional reporting currency populated. Okay, stop talking, Sammy. Get on with it. There, I'm building the journal. My journal lines have been created successfully. Let's go to journal land. Go to general journals, and I'm going to my end of financial year journal. Look at all this. Every single one. My account 8110 has been closed many times because they've got different sets of department. In this case, I've got regions, department and region, department, region. Lots of every permutation and combination of these are there. I'll scroll all the way down to the bottom. I'll scroll all the way down. One big number in my retained earnings with no dimensions. And I can just post this. Let's post it. You can delete the journal. Do it again. That's okay. I'll post this. I'll post the journal. Yes, please. I told you the actual journal part doesn't take long at all. It's all very, very quick. Most of it's been Sammy talking. Learners successfully posted. Hooray! Let's go and have a look. Okay, let's go to our chart of accounts. And I'm going to my expense account, 8120, which is electricity, because that's my favorite ever. It's now 16 grand. And August hasn't changed. And it shouldn't have changed. And July hasn't changed. It shouldn't have changed. Oh, look at these. Look at these. Every permutation and combination of dimensions has its own separate posting. And just so that you can see it's all between the dates, just so that you can see it, I'm just going to filter on the admin department, just so that you can tell a nice picture. I'll filter to this value. So you can see between the 30th of June here and the 1st of July there, I've got admin 130, admin 320, admin 310, admin 120, and so on. And that's what it's closed. And if we'll come back and we'll have a look at 3120 in my retained earnings account, Control F7, go down in there. In my retained earnings account, there's the one I did last year, and there's the one I've done this year. One big fat number, no dimensions. If you had closed it with detail, then you would have with dimensions. But I did it with a balance line, so I didn't have all that extra detail. That's how I wanted it. All right. So guys, a couple of things we just got to be aware of. After you close the income statement, you can still post it again. All right. You can run it again and again and again, and it'll only post the new transactions. Okay. So it means you can run your income statement, and then the auditors come in and say, no, you should have posted this and you should have posted that. And what do you do? That's fine. Do your transactions, then close again. And it'll only post the differences. It'll only close the new transactions. You can run your financial reports at any stage. You can still run them because in Business Central, the reports are retrospective. All right. So you can still run your ATBs and your balance sheet, your P&L. No need to take a backup of your companies. No, you don't need to. I mean, unless you want to, of course, but there's no requirement to do it. You still get all your back statements. All right. And you don't have to close your sub ledgers. If anybody's using inventory periods, speak to us, please. But I'm leaving inventory periods to the side. I don't think any of us are at the moment. All right. But essentially, there's no need to close sub ledgers first because Business Central is integrated, everything. You can go straight to the general ledger. All right. And by the way, preventing postings, that's controlled in a separate area. We know that that's in general ledger setup and user setup. That's in a field called allow posting from and allow posting to. Closing the year does not prevent posting. That's a different sort of thing. All right. I've got one more thing I want to show. Just make sure we've got our summary slide. Create your year, close your year. Well, that took a minute and a half. Close the income statement. If Sammy doesn't talk so much, that takes 2 or 3 minutes. You certainly want to look at that big journal and go, that's the number I'm expecting. All right. You can see the other concepts you're all capable of reading. So that's the end of my bit. I'm going to hand back to Keith, who'll take it if there's any questions.
Thanks, Sammy. As always, a very interesting and detailed explanation on how to close the financial period for whatever year we're going to be looking at, because I'm sure that you and I will be here again this time next year and run through exactly the same thing again. So yes, we do have a couple of questions, as we always do. So the first one is, what do I do if I run, in brackets, close income statement, and then I post the journal, but realize I've forgotten to close by dimension?
Oops, okay, have a stiff drink, go out for a walk, clear your head a little bit, but that's okay. Just, you can actually run it again. And this time I suppose you close it by dimension because it'll pick up the differences. All right. So just
Mm-hmm.
close the income statement a second time. I reckon that's all you'll need to do. And this
Okay,
time,
yeah.
remember to do it by dimension. Remember, it's just building a journal. So
Yep.
if it comes up with something you're not quite expecting, okay, give us a call. But it'll build the journal, and you'll see that I'm using a new word, dimensionless postings will undo, and the dimension-based postings will appear. That's what I'm expecting.
Okay. Sounds good. Sounds relatively easy.
Oh, it is.
Second question. So how do I indicate that I'm posting a journal to a prior financial year?
So you don't have to do it explicitly. Guys, as you know, everything in Business Central is driven by posting date. Everything, posting date. And as long as the accounting period is flagged as closed, then Business Central will automatically, you don't have to do anything special. Business Central will automatically flag it as prior year entry. So you don't have to do it. Just do your posting date. BC will look after the rest for you. And it's a great field. If you haven't seen it in the system, it's a neat little thing. It's a great hidden trick there. You know, advanced users, just us.
Excellent.
Hope I've got that answer correct for you guys.
Yeah, I think so. So what do I do if I post the end of year journal and then I go, oops, I'm not really happy with it? What do I do next?
Don't panic. All right. Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Don't panic. We know in Business Central, we've got that great feature. You can go to GL entries and reverse. All right, you go up. I can't remember. It's up to process. Here am I. You can't see the camera, but I'm moving my hands up there. You go up to reverse. You reverse the transaction. It'll undo that whole thing, and then you can just post again. All right. So yeah, reverse transaction is one of the great features. So don't panic. If there's one take-home message from all of this, it's an easy process. It's a bit forgiving, and yes, we always worry because it's big numbers, but
Okay.
But yes, you can reverse it. Sorry.
All right. So another question has just popped up. This is our first year using BC. Can we process July 2021 before we close off June 2021?
Yes. There it is. Nice and easy. One word answer. Absolutely. Keep processing, keep doing. When you're ready, you can execute the close. So you can do it. You can execute your close at the end of July, at the end of August, in the middle of September, on the 14th of October. Not a problem. All right.
So we can close.
But certainly do make sure it won't stop the system working, but it's a good practice to go into accounting periods and create the year. It'll still work even if you haven't done that, but it's just a good practice.
Right. Okay. I think we're going to be running out of time, and that is the last question that's actually popped through at the moment. We've got 1 minute left. I just want to thank everybody for taking the time out this lunchtime period to join on now end of financial year for Business Central and its closing periods. If there's any questions that you really want to ask us and you've forgotten to put in the questions at this time round, my details are on the screen now. So as I said earlier, I'm Client Success Manager. There's a team of us with our inside account managers as well, working here to be there to support you through this this process. Just reach out to us, and thanks very much again for taking the time to join with us. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, guys.